happened.
Are they coming?
Well, Mr. Chavez just said no. He was supposed to come because he had an arrest. He's a policeman. And Poncho, did Poncho ever answer?
It's already 6:05.
I think, is that the text you left open, Gloria?
Hmm?
Is that the text you left open for Mr. Poncho?
No, it's, Mr. Chavez.
Well,
It's something when that's what I was thinking.
yeah, let's get this.
Yeah, we kept all the meeting to order.
Yeah, no, that's a great idea. So I'll start if that's
Yes.
okay.
Yes, you have to do roll call.
Right.
Yeah, we have to do roll call.
Oh, I do have to do roll call.
Just to make sure that we have no quorum.
Okay,
So-
roll call then. Mr. Ruiz, Mr. Chavez, Mr. Vasquez,
Present.
Mr. Can,
Present.
Ms. Milano, present, Mr. Navarro, Mr. Sepulveda, Mr. Morales.
Present.
Okay, we do not have quorum, so we won't be taking action, but we will start the discussion or pledge of allegiance. What? Okay, just the discussion. Christian, are you still there?
I am still here.
Okay, great. Last time we went over the plan and we had several questions and comments, but kind of essentially, if I can boil it down, we just wanted to know, what do we do now? There's a lot of suggestions from the plan for the city to implement, and
Yes.
there's a lot of next steps. And some of the questions were, will the city need to hire additional staff to implement these things? Will they hire an additional consultant? Will you advise them on that? And we just kind of wanted to know if you would continue to work with the city on saying, okay, you have 50 recommendations for the city, but year one, 2020, let's do goal 1, 2, and 5. That'll be a good way of starting. So those are really my questions and comments, and then I'll open it up for everyone else.
Okay. Do you want me to respond to you first, or do you want me to wait for some other comments?
I guess we can do one at a time.
Yeah, okay. So respond
Okay,
to
well, yeah. Well, first off, I appreciate you letting me call in and participate in this evening's meeting. I'm sorry I wasn't able to join you at your February meeting. I would have been happy to answer questions there. But nonetheless, Parks and Recreation Department staff, they did provide me a summary of comments from the prior meeting. So I was able over the last couple days to look through those comments and identify and confirm what we thought were some themes in the comments that had been made in February. So certainly one of the themes is implementation and what role the Parks Board has in implementation. But I will say also another theme that was identified was trying to dig down deeper in the operational analysis within the plan document, which in part would allow you to better understand what sort of staffing levels you needed to be trying to approach in the future to help implement the planning document if it's adopted by City Council. Is that, I guess my question is, and I will come around to directly answering your question, but my question for the entire board is that, are those two topics essentially the main topics that were discussed by the board last time, the main themes?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think one of our big concerns, Christian, is that the plan is really beautiful and it puts forward so many great suggestions, and we just don't want to see it kind of shelved. Or, I'd like to see sort of a systematic, even if not everything is done, but at least a systematic going through it and saying, okay, we're definitely not going to do item 2, but we're going to do 3, 5, and 7. And then maybe in 10 years, we will circle back to item 2, but for now, it's just a non-starter. So something like that.
Sure. Well, one thing I will point to in the implementation program, and that's in Chapter 5 of the plan, there's a multi-page table in Chapter 5. It starts, if you've got it in front of you, it starts on page 115.
Yes.
And I will say, we took a stab at trying to identify what those priorities might be by breaking down your implementation plan into 1 to 2 year actions, 3 to 5, and 6 to 10 plus year actions, or identify ongoing actions. So regarding implementation, we feel as though the plan already, to some degree, identifies priorities for implementation. That said, though, one thing that we mentioned in a prior chapter, and I think we need to go back into chapter 5 and clarify more directly, is how you go about tracking this implementation. You as the Parks Board, how you participate in implementation and how you serve in your role as tracking it. So a couple things we, in talking with staff earlier today, that we propose to do to this chapter to modify it. First off, we'll add to the existing language to make it very clear that implementation of this plan requires an annual review and an annual report that's being prepared. And this assumes that the Parks Board would have an active role in conducting the annual review and preparing the annual report with staff's assistance. So that's the first thing we need to clarify. The second thing is that we need to clarify that at 5 years, there should be and you can do this internally, it doesn't require a consultant, but there should be a comprehensive amendment to the plan at a 5-year time frame. That's when you take stock to say, how successful have we been? And if we're not being successful in something, what portions of this planning document do we need to either get rid of, add, or otherwise modify? And again, that's not necessarily that's not something that would take a consultant to go through a full process. That's something that's assumed can be done at the city level. The third and final item in the implementation program that we were talking with staff about to help is inserting performance metrics that will aid staff and will aid the Parks Board in its annual review process. So saying, how do we measure success? Well, success may be we have, and I'm just giving an example of what a metric could be in this case. The success may be we have a higher acreage of parkland per capita than we did a year ago or we did 2 years ago. Another measure of success might be, compared to other communities, we now have a higher staffing ratio for recreational programming than comparison communities than we did a few years ago. So those are the types of metrics that we propose to add into Chapter 5 to give some clearer guidance on how you as a board can assist in implementing the plan.
Okay, so those are gonna be added,
I like that.
right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
The intent is that we'll add those all of that information within the next couple weeks so that you have an amended plan to consider at your April meeting.
Okay.
When it comes to the general topic of implementation, are there any other questions about that? Any other thoughts about that?
Did you happen to get with staff on the implementation time frame of the 1 to 2 years, 3 to 5 years, or 6 to 10 years?
Yeah. Well, that is in addition to the changes we talked with staff about this morning. We are expecting within the next couple of days a full series of red lines for what was submitted, and our assumption is that that may include some recommended adjustments to the prioritization that was proposed.
We spoke to him this morning, Dennis and myself, over some red lines that we're going to add to, and hopefully we can send it so we can modify it and update one.
I have a thought. Christian, was it? Christian.
Yeah.
What process or or how are we working with staff to make sure this master plan correlates or works in conjunction with the city master plan in Viva Laredo? Was there any thought process in that, how they're working together?
Oh, absolutely. Well, a couple things. First off, when the when the goals and objectives were developed for this plan, they were developed in direct conjunction with the original Parks and Recreation goals and objectives that are in Viva Laredo. And in fact, we were a sub-consultant on Viva Laredo and wrote the Parks chapter.
Really about the Viva Laredo comprehensive plan right there.
And I guess this is for Mr. Gomez. What steps or who's the designated contact person to the city that's going to be monitoring, the progress of this plan? Or
Right. So on our end, Gracie will be in contact with her consultants to modify and to update and to make sure that what we're following. Of course, she will sit down with me and tell me, okay, this is what we're going on. This is where we're heading to. And I like about that annual report that we can go back and sit back and evaluate ourselves and grade ourselves and what did we do, what did we not do, what do we got to do. And Gracie will be Ms. Verones will be the one that will be, making sure we're steering in the right direction and hopefully staying on map, on course.
Right. Yeah, I think that the last thing we want is for this beautiful plan to be shelved.
Oh, I agree. I came on, I saw it and looked at it, and it's pretty much a blueprint, of what needs to get done, and it also will help us as well once we pass it. So when we come budget time, hey, this is what the master plan is requesting. This is official now, and hey, this is what's recommended. And hopefully with your all's blessing, that this is what the park board needs, and we're all behind it.
Christian, what has been a major obstacle in developing this type of plan? While obviously some changes will come to the city through a proposed wall, apparently through our city, and it'll affect some of our parks. Is that something that was considered or could be?
No, a riverfront wall was not considered as part of the planning process. I think regardless of whether there's a physical barrier there or not, our understanding is that riverfront property and riverfront parks and recreation property, even if you can't actually dip your toe in the water in the river, is still valuable. And there's still, all of the city's previously adopted plans continue to promote a riverfront ring of parkland property. And we also know that those federal policies, when it comes to border barriers, that they tend to change as administrations change. So, from everything we heard through the planning process, from everything we've read from prior planning documents, this community continues to want to provide riverfront linkages in the form of greenway trails and parkland. And now, of course, we all know some sort of barrier may not make it as aesthetically pleasing, but that doesn't necessarily negate the ability to still provide a linear linkage along riverfront locations.
Christian, big picture view, once you saw the inventory of all the parks and park systems that we have here in Laredo, I'm sure you consulted other cities. What I know you have a lot of recommendations here, but is there anything that kind of just stood out with what we're doing here that either is really great or something that, when you can pinpoint and say you can fix this, in a heartbeat with minimal cost?
No, with minimal cost, there's very little with minimal cost. No, I'm not kidding. I'm kidding with that. Really, the issue that part of the reason why why this process has taken longer than we all intended or hoped is this is not a Laredo issue. This is an issue that we deal with a lot of communities, but it's in the way that data is compiled and tracked. And that can definitely inhibit the depth of analysis that you put into not just the park plan, but any particular plan. So through, our hope would be through the annual reporting process, and particularly, ultimately, through the comparison of the city's data with data that's compiled at the national level through the NRPA and their Park Metrics program, there can be some degree of standardization in how the data is compiled and kept. And I just think that in doing that, the city will put itself in a better position to be able to successfully implement the plan.
Christian, one of the things that I've kind of harped on a little bit is the water usage for the parks and how it's managed. Since they don't have a licensed irrigator on staff, they don't have anybody managing the water, and that's one of the biggest expenses that they have is water, the cost of the water. Is that one of the things that you're going to try to address?
So what we addressed and what we will be addressing that's not, I don't think, sufficiently addressed with the draft you have is really the overall amount of Parks and Recreation staff, not necessarily down to the specific job title or function, but generally by category. We'll be, in the next draft of the plan, we'll have more data and more information to make recommendations on. For instance, how many more recreational programming staff members you need, or how many more staff members you need in general operations and maintenance. As far as specialized positions like you mentioned, that is something that with the red lines that we receive from Parks and Recreation Department staff, that there are recommendations at the staff level for some specialization that they do not have today that is a priority. We can ensure that adjustment or that specific, that adjustment's made in the plan and that specific position or expertise is referenced directly in the plan.
And the reason I keep, harping on it is because, on so many levels, I think that it's important. One, because the city is illegally acting against, the state requires any irrigation work to be done by a licensed irrigator. Mm-hmm. And they're doing all the irrigation and have been for many years without a licensed irrigator. They require anybody else in town to be licensed to do irrigation, but not themselves. Eventually, somebody's going to blow the whistle and get the state TCEQ down here, and it's going to become a problem for the city. So legally, it's a problem, but not just legally. The cost of the water that is just being thrown away, the scheduling, the bad installation and design of the irrigation, and like I said, that's one of the biggest expenses for Parks and Rec is the water consumption. And so I really think that, I don't know if it's something that needs to be addressed here, but somehow or another it needs to get addressed, because I think that's a major issue.
Okay, yeah, and there are other park plans that we've worked on where we have specifically addressed an analysis of irrigation systems and made recommendations regarding those systems. And I'll go back and look through the recommendations in this particular document. And if you're bringing to our attention that this is an ongoing issue, we can certainly make sure that it's addressed in the recommendation.
I think we agree the water usage is an issue. And we all know situations where, the sprinkler gets broken and then it's just gushing water, and then maybe a maintenance guy comes and turns it off, and then the tree dies. And, you had mentioned.
Or the water will gush up in the air for 2 or 3 weeks until somebody finally catches it.
And there's no good system. Meanwhile, water's being wasted and landscaping's dying.
Well, we're happy, if there's a general consensus of opinion with the non-forum of park board members that are there tonight, then we're happy to address that more directly in the recommendation section of the plan.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I have a question just for parks staff. When the guys are in the field, what's the process for them reporting a work order? Do they walkie-talkie it into the main office and then you guys put it in? Like if a maintenance guy's out in the field, he sees something that needs to be taken care of, but he doesn't have the expertise or the time to do it in that moment, how does he report it so that it does get done?
So each crew leader, we started this September, October, each crew leader, when they go to their fields or parks, they have a checklist. They have a checklist of what they did, what they saw, if there's something broken, check this, check that, or whatever. And in that checklist, every day they come in, because they don't get to see every park every day. So they go to the checklist, say they went to shuttle crossings, and they went to shuttle crossings, okay, this is good, this is good, but we found a broken valve by the soccer field on the north side of it, or northwest. So he'll turn it in, give it to our superintendent that day. Our superintendent signs it, and we got it, and then we put it in a work order with our construction people on the construction side of the maintenance to go and take care of it, because the majority of those guys, they don't do the irrigation part of it, but I'm giving an example of a sprinkler or something, but that's something that we address it. Now the supervisor, if a citizen reports it, and then I say, wait, was this reported? And then my supervisor says, well, yeah, but then it's the supervisor's responsibility that he should have taken care of it right away. So there's a checklist to answer your question. There's a checklist, and each crew leader carries with them what they did that day, and what needs to get fixed.
So the paper checklist comes in around 4?
Yes.
And then it goes to the supervisor?
To the superintendent. Well, they come in around 3:30.
3:30, superintendent, who then forwards that paper copy over to the construction crew, and then the construction crew just has a bunch of paper copies?
Right, well, we try to coordinate, because
Go through it?
we have a lot of things going on. We try to coordinate in order of importance so that something comes up, basically overseas, we gotta take care of this. If the crew guys can do it themselves, they know better they can do it. But if it's something that, they don't, we can't do it, it's something wrong with the swing or something is broken, then they'll go ahead and report it. But it's their duty, and it's a mindset I'm trying to change to them that, hey, this is your part, you guys see it every day, try and let us know so that we don't get these 311 calls, or we don't get these complaints, or some kid might get hurt because there's a broken sprinkler, somewhere might get tripped over or something like that. So we started it back in September, it's getting better. I see them every once in a while, I look at those things, but my superintendent is in charge to make sure that if there is a problem with the park, that it's going to be addressed, so that we coordinate it on our Friday meetings, when we meet every Friday. Make sure, hey, what did we do? What's important? What's not important? Everything's important.
So every Friday, you'll kind of reassess,
Yes.
okay, we took care of these urgent sprinkler things, but these other construction things we're gonna have to wait on.
Correct. We meet every Friday at 2:30, all right, 2:33.
So when the work order is produced, the way we do it in our company is, property manager does a work order, and she has 2 copies. She gives 1 copy to the maintenance crew, and she has 1 copy that she puts on a stack.
Okay.
And then every day, she reviews the stack, and she looks to see when she gave that work order, and if it's been more than, let's say, 1 or 2 days, then she'll call him and she'll go, hey, you haven't turned this in that it's completed.
Right.
What's the problem? Why hasn't this gotten done?
Right.
And then if it still doesn't get done after she's, told him, then she comes to me and she goes, hey, Mr. Kent, I've already told him twice to take care of this. It hasn't gotten done. And then that's when it's stepped up to the next level, and I call and I say, hey, what's the problem here? Why hasn't this gotten done? She's
Right.
already told you twice.
Sure.
And so is there like a follow-up process?
Yes, there is a follow-up process. The superintendent shows me, and then I follow up. I can't cover everything as far as, we send people to go look at the parks, the ladies go out there, say, hey, this department, we gotta get out in the body, go check and go follow up. Also, in the near future, we're looking at a software for work orders that, it's implemented, put it into the system, we all can see it, we can see the tracking of it. It's gonna cost us a little good little money. We've talked to a couple of companies, but I think in the long run, we're gonna be more efficient, more effective, that we get things done like this, and the
So
park
that
system.
in the moment, they would just on their cell phone
Yes.
put it in.
And then all of us can see it right then and there, so everybody. So it is, we're gonna hopefully do it this year, but I'm gonna implement it in our budget when it comes up, and, because it is one thing that we are going to, that way, we can be more effective, like I said. Might as well have the expense one time and get it.
Is that part of like a scheduling also software? Implemented together, or is it
It depends which one we go with. I know there's one from
specifically for
It's an
parks?
inventory and
Work
maintenance.
and maintenance.
Okay.
Inventory and
Yeah.
maintenance.
Okay.
Scheduling is a recreation software.
Yeah, Christian's still on the phone, right,
Christian?
I am still here.
Oh, great. I see, well, I didn't get a chance to see anything on the master plan that would suggest anything with technology, in the sense of, we would encourage that this plan would have something that could be taken to city council, where they can adjust or maybe allocate some type of funds to have a system where if I want to rent a swimming pool for the weekend, that's one of our city parks, that they are able to pay that online. That includes modernization of the website, even though there's already a new website currently at the moment. Maybe having some dollars or some funds for ideas for Facebook and social media and all of that, we'd be able to have something that would be able to encourage our leaders to invest in innovative ideas, rather than still handling money at our rec centers and all those things, and being able to do things that are at a much faster pace. Is that something that you all would be able to consider, something that you all would be able to recommend?
Yeah, but we'll have to talk with staff again, since it's been a while since we talked about those issues, just to make sure that that when we make a recommendation, we're not recommending a technology that the city might already be using, and so that we're not creating any conflict there. So we can certainly, just along with the other things we've talked about, we can certainly add additional recommendations regarding the use of technology for the customer. But again, we'll just have to speak with staff about what might be most appropriate.
This question is for staff. Are there any updates on the website requests that I made for better searching? So you can search, like, find a park, near me, find a park with handicap equipment, find a park. I mean, Christian, when I looked at this plan that you did and I saw the inventory of all the things that are at each park, I would love if that was searchable on our website. And it's not, I'm guessing, not yet.
It isn't yet.
Go ahead, I'll let you, any in orders or something like that.
We had a meeting this week with our
IT.
sorry, we need to move these meetings up to 8 o'clock in the morning.
We met yesterday, I didn't get to make it, but they all met yesterday with IT.
And that's one of the things that we were discussing, and having the ability to not only map our parks, but also include the amenities that each one has, the distance from where you are located right now. You're looking online. So what park is within a mile radius of me,
Yeah.
and what amenities do they have? There's a lot of footwork that needs to happen,
Yes.
without a doubt.
Yes.
But ultimately, we want to have one mapping source, and then the ability to have it online. And so you would have a drop down and identify what is it you want to see with regard to your park system, but it would be linked on our website. So
Yeah.
it would make it easier. We have taken the steps to do this, and so this is where we're at.
Okay.
If, I think the biggest, not the challenge, but the thing we have to, from when they met from IT and Gracie Dining gave me an update this morning, there's a lot of parks that have been renamed.
Yeah.
So, I said, man, I didn't know that part was named this.
If I could roll my eyes further back into my head,
They'll get to know.
So there's a lot of parks that have been renamed,
I would. Yeah.
and from a while back from the inventory that IT gave us yesterday, I don't think you even finished, no, what you showed me? There was about 15 or 18 of them that we had to change right off the
Is it
bat.
possible to make the suggestion to stop renaming the parks? Because it's very confusing, you know, when you get used to a park, you know where it is, you know the name, and then all of a sudden it's something else, and you're not sure if that's a new park, if it's the same park. I don't even know why we're renaming parks.
I think that's out of our control right there.
Is that-
That's something, that's
Isn't it
council members,
easy?
council
But
members
can
will have
we
to.
just, I mean, it's just very confusing to keep renaming things.
That's something you need to visit with your council.
There's an actual committee.
There's actually a committee, a naming committee. Yeah. There's actually a naming committee of renaming
How do they decide?
buildings or parks or.
I think they're bored, I think they maybe should just meet once a year.
The rec center.
They're getting
Well,
too
one of the
handsy.
One of the problems that, like you mentioned, someone said the pool within the park, but there are parks within the park.
Mhm.
So is that the one park? For instance, North Central Park, John Balls. It's John Balls at North Central Park, or is it John Balls and North Central Park?
What's John Balls and North Central
John
Park?
Balls
Which one
is
that one?
for the skateboard
The skateboard.
and the volleyball.
The
and-
Sand Beach Volleyball, right off International and,
The main entrance?
no, over here by Murphy's.
Veterans at North Central Park. It's not just.
Over by Murphy's, you have the Sand Beach Volleyball, and then you have the basketball cover shade, and then right behind it, we built a new skate park. Right,
Just in
just
the-
a little
I
bit
guess
south of
just-
Murphy's.
The skate park at North Central was too simple. I mean,
But that's all that's all part of John Balls.
did
Well,
John,
that's
who's
what-
John Balls, did he donate the land?
No.
He's a veteran, right?
He's a veteran.
Who
So
used to-
it's actually called John Ball Veteran
Did
at North
he-
Central
Who's a
Park.
skateboarder?
WW2 at North Central Park.
But the thing is
Is this the
that,
one that you wanted to rename?
Let's be honest.
There's a skate park, I'm
Now-
remembering.
now is that considered one park, just North Central, or is it two parks? And if it's two parks, then the overall park that we have in the city is just added plus one, right?
I think they name anything within Central Park, it should be.
But the thing is that it's not,
At North Central.
that's up to city.
Yeah, that would be up to city
I
council.
mean, for me personally,
Yeah,
as
Chimayo
a
Park
user, I find John Balls Park to be very confusing. As a user, I would just search for North Central Park or the park closest to me.
And that's what people
And then
do.
see the amenities. Oh, there's a skate park there.
When we have events, we have had events at North Central Park, in the North Rim, at John Balls Park, and North Central Park. People look up at North Central Park,
Yeah.
and they go the main entrance, and we're way on the other side. So yeah, it is confusing, but at the same time,
I think if a park
That's
is
a-
really big, you might want to delineate certain areas within the park.
Yeah, but you
Because-
could say, you know, North Central Park or South Central Park.
Or skate park at some point.
Skate park at, you know, North Central Park, but I find it very confusing that everything's being renamed and then there
That's a
are
double
parks
pay
within a
rebuild.
park that are getting named.
I think the
And-
city councilmen are gonna do what they're gonna do. If they want to name certain things, they,
and like Coach mentioned, there's also Chimayo.
Chimayo Park.
So there's Chimayo, John Balls, and North Central Park, all in one.
Which one's
Which
Chimayo?
Chimayo, I didn't even know it was there till I came on board just by jogging through it. It is, how can I explain it to you? It is off of San Isidro Boulevard, the one right there by Gold's Gym. The street that connects Shiloh, that connects, I'm sorry, McPherson International,
Right.
Okay.
right? The street that connects McPherson and International. If you come in, you pass Gold's Gym, there's a subdivision called Chimayo on your right-hand side. You
Yeah,
go down, you take a right,
it's the
it
little
goes all the way
kids.
down to the end.
yes.
That's how we know it, the play structure for little kids.
The what?
The play structure for little kids.
Yes.
Well,
It's real.
No, Chimara.
Yeah.
Chima's a playground area.
Little area.
Right.
Yeah, but the Chimara subdivision it's called Chimara. If you're coming east on San Isidro, you take a right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's another one, that's
Yeah,
Chimara.
none of my friends that I know refer to it by the name. They always say the park in North Central for little kids.
I didn't even know that.
And that's how, because the one that near the entrance is it's for bigger kids.
That's called a trailhead.
Yeah, the trailhead one is just kind of bigger kids like it. And the other one is more contained and it's easier for small.
And then we have the North Rim, which is called the over there by Murphy's and Best Buy, behind the old Best Buy, we call it the North Rim.
Where Best Buy used
Yeah.
to be in that area.
Yeah, I mean, I think, oh, sorry,
Oh, yeah.
Christian. Okay. Well, Christian, you know, if you have any suggestions on the namings and the procedures, I don't know if you want to wade into that or not, but, you know, what do other cities do? Do they name parks within parks? Do they just, you know, describe it? And if you don't want to touch it, that's fine. But
Well,
if you have any
it touched me
suggestions-
when we were preparing the plan because we kept getting the park names wrong and Gracie and Anita were patient with us and trying to say, no, that park's called this now or that park's also called that. So we
Yeah.
understand what you're talking about. Typical, we have dealt with this issue in the recent past with another community. And one of the recommendations we made in the case where they had multiple different park facilities within what we essentially said was just a regional park complex is that they did name the individual parks. They would say such and such park at the Hadley Recreational Complex. And that's how they named the individual park elements within that overarching regional park.
Okay. Okay.
I would like to interject a couple things based on comments that you all were making previously. We do, in the plan, recommend updates to the website, in part for the very reasons that you were talking about, and making sure that people have a better understanding of exactly which amenities are in each one of the park properties. And in addition, even though in general we like to just talk about staffing needs on a very general basis, the plan does include a recommended long-range planning position for the Parks Department because there is a concern, obviously, with there's so much to implement and there's so much to track. Who's going to do that? This plan recommends that there is a designated person on the park staff in a planning position, but that's one of their primary responsibilities is to track plan implementation and report on that.
Okay.
I have a quick question for staff. We had, I don't remember what the answer was, but did we ever have a design that shows all of the trail network between the parks? Do we have any kind of a design that shows all the bike and hike trails and how everything's interconnected?
That's something that we're also working on right now when we met with IT. There are maps. We're just trying to see how we can implement it within our website. And you can see the connection from one trail to another. At the same time, there are trails right now that are built but aren't officially open. So that's a little bit of a...
So is there a hard map, like a paper map or some type of an
Yes.
actual map?
There's PDFs, I believe, that
You're talking about that one PDF
And is that
of all the parks in Laredo? 'Cause that one's kind of unwieldy.
Well, yeah, that was just a small sample also, we can fit it in the page,
Okay.
but yeah, he's redoing all that with the updated names, with the acreage of all the parks, with the,
So it's not here yet, but it's soon to
no,
come.
that's something that's all part of the meeting that we're talking about.
Okay.
To include the, also pictures of the
And the proposed trails, that's how it's gonna go on in the future.
continue,
You know, there's connections that are coming on, you know, from along the river and some over here in Zacate Creek is also gonna be eventually being connected, what's proposed in the future. So I'm glad we had the meeting yesterday with IT, so we had to sit down with them and update a lot of stuff, so.
And it also gonna involve other departments to sit down with us, city realty, and to help us out, environmental, just to make sure we have everything together.
I'm a little bit behind, but we're moving a little by little, moving forward.
Well, the one thing first we had to get was the website, and then once it was on, we had to look at it, familiarize ourselves with it, get response from others, some people, and find this doesn't work, this is better here, and that's what we've been doing. We have been changing things. We have been adding new sections of, for instance, like press releases or so, that market tennis courts will be closed because we're going to be reserved, blah, blah, blah. But I think, we're doing all that little by little, familiarizing ourselves, getting our recreation supervisors familiar with us. We're also taking out some of the bugs so people can pay online. And yet sometimes we run into some obstacles. We're working on them, we fix them, and then something else comes up with. So it's in there, and we're working on it.
Right.
Christian, this is Mr. Gomez. How much in your experience with other cities, I know that once was master plan, how much is information, I know it's impossible to put the whole thing in the website, but how much information is shared on the website or with other cities or our Parks and Rec website as far as the master plan?
As far as the plan document itself?
Yeah, or do you have put it in the website, or in case somebody wants to get in there, or is it their link?
Most communities we're working with, they simply embed it in their websites and make it a link, and typically it's a PDF and the PDF has hyperlinks embedded in it.
Okay. So hopefully, once we get this, we'd like to put it in there and have a link there, so if anybody wants to have access to it.
Yes, the final draft will, I don't believe the most recent draft you have has it, but the final draft, upon city council adoption, will then have hyperlinks in the table of contents so you can jump around to the appropriate pages.
Okay. All right.
I don't have any more comments or questions. Does anybody else?
No.
And thank you so much, Christian, for being available tonight to talk to us.
Absolutely, and I appreciate your time. Having talked with staff this morning, they're aware that our intention is to complete edits, updates, additions that we've talked about both with you this evening and with them earlier today over the course of the next 2 weeks, and then to provide you a new draft of the document for your April meeting, and hopefully for some sort of official action from the park board at that meeting.
Thank you, Christian.
Christian, will you continue to be available? I mean, if the city says, gosh, we need a recommendation for this type of a website designer, are you able to recommend people going forward, or recommend businesses, or continue to be involved, or once you're done with the master plan, it's accepted, that's it?
Well, yeah, I mean, yes and no. I mean, obviously, once the plan is adopted, our contract with the city for this project concludes, but our lines are always open for Anita and Gracie. They're always open for staff that call back after the fact that want some recommendations on specific steps moving forward.
Okay, great, thank you.
And thank you all so much for your time this evening.
Thank you very much.
All right, bye-bye.
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 Is the IT in-house, or is that a contract?
In-house.
So you'll have an in-house IT person?
Well,
I mean, yes, department, not with us, but.
Yeah, within the city.
That would be nice if we had somebody in-house, like within the department. It's just a very expensive level.
Wait a
We've got
minute,
so
what?
many computers, we've got so many elements, we're growing. We talk about the computer system into the, 21st, 22nd, 23rd century, 19th century
How
sometimes.
many people does IT have for the city?
I don't know. 8, 10?
That's it?
It's a very small number,
Yeah.
but that's.
I wanna say 3, because I only dealt with 3, but.
No, but I think it's only because they do have their own.
Yes.
I think there's.
City
What
secretary
other
has.
Department helping out everybody?
Only IT does. When we need assistance, like we go to, like Carlos, I think he's a network specialist for the city secretary's office. And he's amazing. He's very, very good in computer language and networking and all that stuff. And so he can help us out in a pinch. But you were talking about our website. We have the ability to pay online right now. It's when you're paying.
Okay.
People have been paying and registering.
Oh, that's great.
Yesterday we had a glitch. And so our web designer and our software program was RecPro, which is online registration, scheduling, etc., had a fight. And so right now everybody went to their own corner. So they're both trying to work on it to figure out, it's going in a loop right now. So we're talking technology. We are there,
Yeah.
but when technology fails, like the cable company, you don't have TV for 24 hours, everybody goes into a spiral. It's
We
like,
are control.
Do you know if the IT department has a cybersecurity specialist?
Homero Vasquez?
Well, he's a director, but he's the one that charges cybersecurity as well.
Right. I don't know that he's.
I don't know to what extent, but he's the one that, when we got hacked, he was the one that.
As
Fixed us.
that you might know of, Mr. Ramos or Ms. Tammy, as you all have, the Parks Department has its website. What other department has their own website? The police department? I'm
Every,
sure. Every
department.
every department.
Planning, building, community development.
Health.
Even small little websites.
So I know like,
Something.
PD updated the website not too long ago. Was that something that got contracted out or is handled inside, like in-house or?
I don't know how they did it, but generally
It's a
you
nice
contract it out.
It's outsourced.
It's outsourced.
The only one that I know that's not is city secretaries because Carlos designs it. And so Carlos upgrades it. But the company that we partnered with or contracted with is the same company that Convention and Visitors Bureau used.
Okay.
So the same designer. So a lot of experience.
So if you need to change, you just contact them, hey, we need to update the website or?
Exactly what's happening
Yeah,
now.
and plus Eddie's our,
We could do a lot of the stuff ourselves. And like I'm saying, it's a lot of trial and error right now because we're learning a lot of different things. But sometimes when we're stuck on it, for instance, there was something I was trying to do and I couldn't get in, I couldn't get it done. And I called the guy, hey Mondo, I'm trying to get this and this. Oh, and he gets in there, he goes, that's on our part, I'll take care of it. And I'm like, well, we're supposed to wait for a guide, we still haven't gotten it. But just to see, so they can see what they have, that they control. Because sometimes there are stuff that we can't get in to change.
So many departments have their own website, but it's managed differently in the city?
How managed?
In the sense that some of it has maybe third-party contractors that if you need updates, you contact, or like PD's, I mean, it's a very user-friendly website. I use it a lot.
Oh, for the request.
For requests, open record, stuff like that, but you just can see the difference between certain websites. Some are better than others. So I guess my question was, why isn't the same person just handling everything and?
Right, like one who
Or
does a
uniform,
really great
more
website for
uniform.
one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
just we'll have one general contractor for the whole city.
I would say so.
It'll make sense.
People vote on which website they like the best.
I know that a couple of years ago, the city tried to do that.
Mhm.
Very, very expensive. And there is one website that was one of the bidders. The thing was, the cost was like 4 times at the time higher than what we were budgeting for.
See, I mean, I don't know, but if each department is budgeting for website maintenance, and I mean, if you combine that, I don't know if it's more or less than.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think it looks cleaner to have the same designer throughout, and not so piecemeal. But I don't know why each department didn't just kick in their budget.
So in your budget, you're giving your budget and then you decide the allocation for the amount of the website?
Right.
Is that decided internally?
That's, well, when y'all did, I mean, I say later, because when it came into the budget before I came in, for the website, would we budgeted for the?
We put money in there knowing that we were trying to do that. We go out for bids, and so different companies bid on the project itself. And we know how much we had put aside, which is an approximation. And when the bids come in, they're open, we do a requisition. And the maintenance of it, Eddie is in charge of upkeeping the system itself. As he said, it's definitely a learning process. So the information, the website is static. The actual site itself is fluid. The information is, and a lot of departments, the information is always the same. We are not a static department. We are very fluid, so the website had to be able to move with us.
That's why I think, like in our business, we have, well, there's certain things that we can do, and they teach us how to do basic stuff. And then there's more, I guess, intensive stuff that we call the tech, hey, we need this done, whatever, right? I don't know why the city doesn't have like 2 people in-house that just does everything, you know, for every department, or 1 department at a time to upgrade, and then maintenance, you know, at some point.
Because over at the county, we have the same website for all the departments. It's not the best website, I'm sure.
We've seen it.
But we're allowed to go in as our court and be able to say, okay, we've added this document, you can download it, this is a PDF file, you can, you know, we're able to work all of that. What I'm trying to lean into is that the website is very helpful. It's going to be very informational, and actually people have brought it up on noticing that there's a new website. But if we're able to run traffic, maybe for the next year or something, maybe be able to see, are people going to our website, or are people able to see it through social media? Which I feel that a lot of the people are going to lean towards the social media. Should we invest our dollars in a website, or should we invest dollars in social media campaigns, and Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and all these new social media things where maybe we won't spend a lot of money that's being spent on the website, and we can also lean towards having that information available on our social media websites as well. That's something that maybe we can try and work out with.
Absolutely agree with you, and the situation there is it's very fluid also. Websites are popping up every month, and so what was new yesterday is so yesterday, and new kids are looking at different websites for their information. And so that is something that is very fluid, and so to be able to know today what it's going to be like in 12 months is very difficult to plan. You can have something in place to handle the growth, and then just be able to grow with what is coming next month, or 6 months from now, or 12 months. But I definitely agree, the marketing of anything we do is paramount, and unfortunately, we don't have resources, if you will, to be able to, how are you gonna reach out to the community? You know, what works? Who's your market? Is it seniors, is it kids, is it teenagers? Because that's going to depend how you market an event or a program or a park that's opening. And so knowing your market is very important, because that's going to change how you advertise for it. And so,
is there an opt-in on your website where you can sign up for updates and decide and say what you would like to hear about? Because I remember
I didn't get that.
Could you try again?
Recording, it's always recording me, it's so creepy.
They're always listening.
Always listening. Oh my gosh, I cannot think of her name right now.
Maybe the singers will be.
Alexa.
I cannot think of her name. Who was the one who used to send out the email blasts to everybody?
Sochi.
No, not Socha. Tiana Fullerton.
Oh.
Tiana Fullerton. And there was no way to like opt in. Like, I'm interested in hearing parks information about summer programs. And I'm interested in hearing about parks for pool updates. It'd be really nice on the website if there was a way to just give you the email address and get updates on what's going on, but not everything, because I don't want to know everything, but just, I don't know, or maybe everything, maybe start with everything, but just get email updates.
Yes, there
For
is.
people to opt in.
Yes, there is, and we spoke with our web creator and explained that we wanted to start doing blasts, but let's say they were into martial arts. Well, we would only send them information about martial arts. And so I explained this to him. He said, yes, it's definitely something we can bring in. You've got all the information on your database for the recreation software. And so we could merge and actually when they uploaded our website, they pulled most, if not all the information from our recreations. I'm sorry. This is Cristina Morin. She is our manager for the recreation centers. And so they pulled the information from RecPro because what I told them is we wanted to get to that point where we could start sending out emails to people on interests that they have, because that is part of the process to register for membership at any rec center. What are your interests? What do you like? And so all that information was downloaded
Into the webpage.
Right, so the information is there, now we just need to find a way to, and we're not doing it, our web designer is, to be able to access it and then to utilize it. So it's definitely something we're working on right now. What we wanted to do was, let's upload the information and modernize our website, make it more user-friendly. And so phase one is done. And so as Jean says, it's a fluid document. I said, okay, I know. We want, right now, we want, end result and touch and all this stuff. No, it's not there yet, but it's an awful lot better than what we had before. So.
If you will allow us, I know with Eddie, I know you want us to kind of go over your baby here.
First of all,
Okay, what just go real quick?
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Now we'll do the focus.
by the way, Chris and I are the ones that look over the websites, this website. She takes care of the recreation centers and the flyers and everything and information, press releases, that's all my thing. This is just basic stuff, up on top. As you can,
I think Coach has his mouth over here, Eddie.
No,
No.
it's not
Oh, never mind.
up on top, this is just basically just comes up what is going on currently. These are events or things that are gonna be coming up. The fun run, the kite festival. I can't get this. And it scrolls a little thing about, and if you click on here, gives you the information on the rec centers. Has all the rec centers. You click on, shows you everything. What's going on at everything. These are the amenities that they have.
Does it give you the programs that they're presently giving at that,
What's
if you
this
scroll
rec
down,
center?
yes.
What's
Yeah.
the sneaker shoe? Does the sneaker shoe mean that there's a track?
It's,
The walking track around.
It's a track, walk, track,
Okay. And the stereo, what does that mean?
music.
They have this Zumba class, the Zumba class, and they have music. They didn't find a picture for the Zumba, so for now they're using the radio, just signifying that it involves music.
Within, they got
Okay.
pool, glass, they have weight equipment.
But you'll switch it out for Zumba when you find a,
Once we get them an actual Zumba icon, they'll upload it on the web.
The hours of operation, gives you what's new, what's going on. The month, the current newsletter for the rec center, and so on.
and the newsletters are rec center specific?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you still have to go to each rec center to find something.
Yeah, because each rec center will have different activities.
Like, for example, several years ago, I think it was with Massimo, so it was maybe 6 years ago, there was a mommy and me exercise class at one of the rec centers.
Hillside.
No,
That's good.
Baskin.
Mommy,
With
me and Daddy 3 initiated it at Hillside. So maybe.
And, well, but the Baskin one didn't last very long because it was very poorly attended. Because, and this is my issue with not being able to search, I moved to Laredo, I'm looking for Mommy and Me class, unless I happen to know to look at Baskin or I look through multiple rec centers searching, I don't find it. And I'm willing to I'm not in Baskin's district, but I'm willing to drive to Baskin for the Mommy and Me class if I find it. And then it gets canceled, it's not well attended, and it's just really sad because I think people would go to those activities if they knew about them. They're willing to drive, but I can't search it. I can't search Mommy and Me class. I can't search under 5 activities.
That's a very good point. Well, that's definitely something we'll work with our.
Like in the search engine, put mommy and me programs.
Yeah, Mommy and Me, or activities by age, 5 and under, activities 5 and under, activities, 6 to 10. I don't know, but like,